Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Could you please do roll call? Either Lisa or Suki. Sorry, Suki.
Mr. Chu is excused. Ms. Douglas. Mr. Hamilton is excused. Ms. Hedlund.
Present.
Mr. Jacobson. Mr. Morrison.
Here.
Ms. Salmon.
Here?
Ms. Waller.
Here.
Okay. So we do not have a quorum yet, but we hope to shortly. Any changes to the agenda? Lisa? Okay. Then we need approval of minutes of the previous meeting. Did anybody have any changes or corrections?
No, so moved.
Okay. Okay, Barbara just moved to approve, and you, okay. So we approve the minutes. We don't have public input, I don't believe, so we're going to go ahead and start with people talking about the Urbana Arts Grants and doing their presentations. So first we're going to have the Common Ground Food Co-op.
Actually, we'll start with Read Across America, just because of a time issue.
Sure, that's fine. Okay, yeah.
Hello, I'm Sherry Langendorf,
And I'm Jean Breeze.
and we're co-chairs of Read Across America, and this year was our 14th year of Read Across America. We've always had it at Lincoln Square, so I'm not sure, some of you I recognize, so I know I've talked to you last year, but if you don't know about Read Across America, please feel free to ask some questions. It was at Lincoln Square again this year on March 1st from 10 o'clock till 1 o'clock. And this year, because of your generosity, we were able to have professional storytellers come. We started that a couple of years ago. We had a handful of them. Now we were able to have, I think, up to 12 this year. And we did do some extra fundraising so that we could have as many as applied, because they were all so good we couldn't say no to any of them. And besides having the different agencies and schools that come in and provide literacy activities, we also had the children entertained by our storytellers. Now, is this already open, or do I have to open this up already?
Just go to Internet Explorer, and you should be able to see the window and then just pull it up.
This one, I see. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and this will just, I'm only going to play a couple minutes of this. This is one of our storytellers, Mike O'Brien, and his Clothespin.
My name is Mike O'Brien, and I am the proud owner-operator.
This kind of just gives you the excitement of the day, and you can see how we fill the mall. You can see in the background how many people we have there and how many children. I'm not going to play all of this just for a few minutes, just so that you can get an idea of how the children can go from booth to booth. And we also have a main stage, and each of the storytellers took turn providing entertainment for a bigger audience. Besides going to the different booths, they were able to listen to stories on the main stage. And here's Mike O'Brien with his puppets on the main stage. And you can also see that we do have artwork that decorate the mall from teachers and also children who do little murals. So we have lots of different arts. Okay, now to get back to where I was. Okay, another thing is that we also invited Oba William King. I saw this on YouTube, and we had to have him. He's from Chicago, and he opened it up, our festival. And it was a great way to have some different type of storytelling as well. And he did open up with this song as requested by me. And he also entertained on the main stage and then had a booth where the children could interact with him individually. And I don't have that much more to show you, but I do want to show you the rest of the event. We do have the professional storytellers. We wanted them not only to entertain the children, but to develop language skills, listening, vocabulary, and attending skills. These are all very important for developing reading skills. Provide a model for parents to engage their children. We know that if children participate before they go to school, then they will be more successful in school as well, and also to develop creativity. So here's Mr. Oba William King entertaining on the main stage and also interacting at his booth. The other storytellers that we were able to have this year, Kate Cooper, Aaron Carlin from Champaign Library. He had a green screen and took pictures of the children and then told the parents how they could download an app and have different backgrounds. So we had some technology there as well. Alice McGinty, who's very well known in our community. Dawn Blackman, who also has come every year. Elaine Bearden from the Champaign Library. She told stories and also had activities at her booth. Sue Searing, Patricia Hubie Powell, Linda Dust, who had brought her guitar, Kathleen, and Kim. We didn't get a picture of her at the event, but she was highlighted in the news story. So if I also included in the report the news stories that were on our local TV, so you can see her explanation of the program. Here's Mike O'Brien, and we had an art contest. Here's our art winner this year from Canaan Academy, and she drew a picture that we selected so that was on all the backpacks, and we gave out 1,000 of those again this year. And we had different murals to depict our theme, and the children from Countryside, I think, this year drew the murals. And we just want to thank you again from our planning committee to helping us to have this, provide this in Urbana. Because of you, we can do that. So thank you very much.
Okay. Well, thank you. This is always a wonderful event. Would anybody like to make some comments?
I just had a question.
Yes.
Just basically based on something I heard yesterday, that there was, on the radio, it said something about children will have to learn how to read in a different way because we're training our brains to read only small amounts of text on screens and smartphones, and that so many things have changed that people don't pick up books and learn in the same way that they used to. Looks like something like this is going to certainly keep the excitement alive.
Yeah. I mean, we've also heard rumors about that we weren't going to have libraries anymore because nobody would want books at libraries, but you can see how busy our libraries are and how it's still very engaging for a child to sit down with an adult. And I miss that time with my daughter still, but, you know, it's just a wonderful sharing time to read a book and to share that experience.
And this
She's a
just
kindergarten teacher, so.
I'm retired. This just fosters all of that activity and all that interconnection and starts to build that with these children who are young. And people will say to us, well, you've done it for 14 years. Haven't you kind of saturated the point? Well, no. I mean, every year there's a whole new crop, you know. And we have children and parents who have been coming and are bringing their grandchildren now, or parents who came as children and now they're coming back and bringing their children. And it's just, I'm getting chills because it's just such a wonderful experience for children and parents to see other children and parents. Because if you're at home with your own, you send your child to school, you don't really always get that mode of what little people are like and what they can do and how much joy that they receive and can bring to you and to the community. So it's a great thank you. We appreciate it. I've been working with Sherry for several years now, and it's very exciting now that I don't get to see children every day, which is a plus sometimes. But it's just wonderful to go and see some of my grown-up children there with their kids. That's happened a number of times. So we thank you very, very much.
Okay. Anyone else?
Just an apology for being late. I'm sure it was my loss.
You'll have to come next year.
Thanks very much.
Come see for yourself.
Good.
Oh, and one thing that's really great about it too is that we use Lincoln's Challenge. They come as volunteers and have every year, and we get a squad of cadets who come, and sometimes it's young men and sometimes it's young women, and it's good for them to get out and see little people and kind of foster that.
And teachers.
And teachers and that side of their personalities too. So we enjoy
To give back
having
to the
them.
community.
Good.
So.
Yeah, so
Great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And you
we
don't
doing-
have to let us know ahead to volunteer, just come on over and look for me.
Apologies are cheap. Volunteering is something.
Co-op next? Or? Yeah. Okay, next we're going to hear a presentation from the Common Ground Food Co-op.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, I'm the marketing manager at Common Ground Food Co-op. I'm Joy Rust. And Maya's writing my name.
Hi, I'm Maya. I'm the education coordinator at Common Ground Food Co-op.
Okay. So we are located in Lincoln Square Mall across the street. We've been around since 1974, but we moved to Lincoln Square in 2008. And then we since expanded in 2000. We had a grand opening in the very beginning of 2013. And during a lot of this growth, we've done a lot of visionings with our owners. And right now we are owned by about 5,500 members of the community. And at that visioning, we had one, the last big visioning was at the end of 2011. Something that came out of that was they wanted to see us do more with the arts and do more work in integration with the arts. So we have to, they're our owners, so we took it very seriously. And when we expanded in 2012 and 13, another important thing to our owners is education. And so we got this classroom here and as part of that expansion. I'm going to let our education coordinator talk a little about that.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different project than the one we just saw because it was a brand new endeavor. The classroom is open to the public most of the time for eating and hanging out and community building space, and then closed for classes. And there are around between a dozen and 20 classes a month that range from kids classes to adult classes, cooking, bookmaking, gardening, all sorts of things. And part of what we heard when we heard people asking for more arts was that they wanted to be able to feel like it was part of their community experience. So we thought that putting a gallery into that space that had such high traffic and so many different uses would really be able to engage folks with the arts who weren't necessarily going out just to see art, but were maybe going out to a cooking class or just going to lunch with a friend. So that was the reason we thought it would go so well in that space. Do you want to just go to the next one? Oh, it's this now. Yeah. Oh. So this is just a quick overview of what we were awarded, and we wanted to talk a little bit about what we said we were going to do and what we did with the money you all gave us. It was a really exciting project for us because it was something we dreamed of doing, and then it actually really just came alive in that space, and it's been a huge success. We've had a lot of interest in it. We're right now accepting applications for the next gallery season, and there's huge interest and a lot of enthusiasm around it. Do you want to?
That's great. Here is a bit of our project overview. So you can see in the left bottom corner there, we were going to use this space, that wall, no matter what, but it just didn't really look alive. The art was easily missed, actually, and we really wanted to provide a high-quality, integrated, protected, well-lit space. So this was sort of before in our proposal here, the project overview. We did want to get a gallery box. We wanted to get the track lighting, but we wanted to. We wanted to spend also a lot of our staff time doing just making it more known. So doing a big call out and promoting the call out time. And then once the artists were chosen, we did a lot of neat things you'll see further down in the promoting aspect of the whole thing.
Yeah, part of having this box that you'll see actual photos of it, but the drawing that I made of it was to protect it because we do have cooking classes in there. We have oils and grease and all sorts of things. So they're locked.
Lots of kids.
They're locked for safety, but also we see like lots of little handprints on the windows. I have to clean them a lot because it is a multi-use space, which is part of what's really exciting about it, is that it's not just a space where people say, I want to see art, I'm going to see art. It's also a place people bring their kids to read a book, and then they end up interacting with art on an everyday basis. Another thing I forgot to mention was that part of what we thought about a lot when we were creating the space was how to keep it most accessible to everyone in our community. It's super accessible by wheelchair, by folks who need assistance getting places. Also, kids come in there all the time, so it's really easy to access. It's also on the bus lines, of course, Lincoln Square, so it's a very public space, and it's also a very accessible space. So this is the box. We worked with some local craftsmen to make it, some woodworkers, and that was a really exciting process to try to find. There's so many talented local people to work with who we could actually work on the design together, sit down, talk about the needs, and not just order something prefab that wasn't made here, also talk about how to use different local businesses. And that was a really exciting collaboration for me to do. And so this is the installation of the actual box when it came in.
And I should mention that Maya oversaw the majority of this project. Because of the funding, we actually added to her job description that the gallery is now something she oversees, and she did a great job.
The other duties is assigned.
Yes. It's no longer just other duties
That one
assigned.
became official.
Yeah, this is the lighting that came. It transformed the space. It was really exciting. We had just these panel fluorescents before, and being able to have, you can see in the photo it's a little dark, but that's at one of the receptions. It's able to really make the space change into a space that's okay for a reception, not just these bright glaring lights, but something people can come in and have a conversation and share an experience. The other photo is of a class where the teacher chose to turn down most of the lights, just have the lights on the art, so the art's really visible, and on that island where they're doing the cooking, so it kind of makes this ambiance in the space. It was incredible to us the way that it changed the space and really made people, we saw the difference in the way people were experiencing the art and sitting and looking at it because it had this illumination. So that was a really exciting change for us.
Yeah, as I mentioned, the different ways we promoted. Maya did a lot of this. One thing, every artist got these postcards, and the postcards were their art. The postcards turned out really, really, really well.
Yeah, we worked with Dixon Graphics, a local printer, and they did all the printing for us, which has been great.
And so we leave them by the art that people could take and put a stamp on if they wanted. The artists could take them and pass them around. So that was one really successful way we integrated the promotion with the art. Every event or every show had a closing event, and so we made sure we promoted that on our social media. And here's just an example of a Facebook event, but we would post it on, we have a Twitter page and some other social media pages. We did posters. So here was our first show, and here's the poster here, the graphic tees. And then we promoted them in our newsletter, which reaches how many now? 4,600 people. So those were always in our newsletter, the show and the closing parties. And are those all the ways? The main ways. There's always word of mouth. So
yeah, these are the celebration events. So they're from 7 to 9 p.m. on the fourth Fridays, generally speaking, of this every other month. We provide a big spread of food and wine, and we clear out all the tables so the room is really easy to walk around in. And they've been hugely successful. People really like them. The artist comes and gets to shake people's hands and feels really excited about it. And I don't know if you can see that picture too a little bit. Yeah, but it was amazing to see the first show we had. We didn't have the track lighting yet, and just to see the difference in that experience for people was really great. Yeah, say anything?
What else? Yeah, I did one of these shows, and it was just really amazing to see the people that actually came. They weren't wandering, and we had a lot of that too. We left the doors open for these events, and you could come in, but a lot of people had the postcard in their hand. Not that it was mailed, but they grabbed it and they kept it in mind, and they were there for the art to meet the artist. And it was really neat to see those connections happening. And we didn't sell, actually in our proposal we mentioned that we would maybe sell art, but we didn't want to compete with any other galleries in the mall, so we didn't sell it throughout the whole time. But at the end, there were people talking about getting pieces commissioned, and I saw that at these shows. It was really neat. And the food was great.
Yeah.
People love the food.
We do food well.
We do. And then a big piece, as we've kind of said here a couple times, is just that it's just integrated. It's integrated in the community naturally with all the things going on. So we wanted to show you just some of the cooking classes, and we do kid cooking classes, but also just day-to-day people eating lunch and meeting in the space. Anything else there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a space that there's rarely a moment when the space is empty. There's always people coming through, and since there are so many classes, we've already had like 600 people or more this year going to classes, so people really do come through that space a lot. And it's amazing to see people come in and like walk in and like put their stuff down and be like, oh, there's new art. Okay, let's go check out the new art. Because it does change periodically, which is a nice part of keeping people engaged and keeping people seeing new things.
So we have some information. We do want to keep doing this. The box and the lighting were such a big success. I think that we would have eventually had to get funds somehow to do it. I think it's just really important. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
so we're currently accepting applications right now till Friday. And actually right now, if you went in, we have our staff art up, which is really exciting.
Yeah, we did a separate application process and had tons of people, come in and put their art up. So we've got folks who actually work there, and we have little like photos of them, so you can start to recognize the people who are actually like serving you food and that also are artists, which I think is a great connection for folks in the community to remember that even if folks have a day job, they also may be passionate about something else. And, I really like that.
And it's really multimedia. We have stained glass. We have little 3D. We both
they're this big.
Robot guys, drawings, paintings. It's a really neat one right now. But in the future, we're leaving a 2-month period open for a kids gallery show, which we didn't do last time. And another important thing is we're integrating our owners into the selection process, the judging panel this year, which we didn't do last year. So that'll be really exciting.
Do you all have any questions for us about how it went or any?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there internet, Wi-Fi in the space?
Yes.
So it should go on anybody's, like my list of places public places to sit with my computer and have coffee?
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I had a question. How did you reach out to your owners?
For the
let them
visioning
know
that
about
first
this?
time? Or
Yeah,
just to
some
let them know
feedback here.
about
in
it?
general.
We do a lot of different ways, but I'd say the newsletters are our main connection to our owners. When you sign up, you give us your email address and check that you want to be included in the newsletter, and 90% would probably check
Most
that
do,
they do.
yeah.
Most do.
And then we also connect them through the people who are working at the registers, really. Those folks see almost everyone who comes through the door. So we talk to them, and they are able to have conversations and tell them about the current art or about the current project or like this deadline that's coming up on Friday. So they've been they're a great team for that. Is that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have a provision to put anybody on your mailing list who's not an owner? Because, I have a special problem. I had to relinquish my ownership because it was a conflict of interest being on the council and voting on liquor licenses.
We appreciate that.
But I would love to, get your news.
Yeah.
We do. We have at the welcome desk right when you walk in, there's a clipboard, and you can just be on our mailing list, and it fills constantly.
We can take it,
but
too,
we can also just
today.
take it. Yeah.
We're actually the people who do that.
We put it on.
Yeah.
We have a lot of non-owners.
A follow-up?
I was just curious, the application for artists, what does that involve, and how far do you look for artists? Is it all a local artist or within a certain geographical range? How does that work?
We don't preclude other artists, but we do focus on local artists. We have one of the questions on so it's an application that I drafted that calls for samples of work, so slides or people have submitted it multiple ways, but a CD or a flash drive with samples and close-ups to give us an idea. Then there's also information about them. If they're an owner, they get preference. If there's two bodies of work that are otherwise equal, if they're an owner, they get preference. We're also looking to highlight the local artists if we can. So we ask them if they're local or not, and make some judgment calls based on that. The process is actually going to be much more formal this year because we have a bigger committee, and it's going to be completely blind. And last year we kind of had to pull it together, which was great and worked really well. But those things are definitely weighed and considered because we do focus so much on local as a business that we want to support the local artists if we can.
We appreciate that. So you're saying Champaign County residents, essentially?
Yeah. We accept applications from anybody, but there's no stipulation on the application form that you have to be from Champaign County, but it is one of the things that we consider when doing the judging.
Thank you.
Yeah, Barbara, I think their form for the artists is in the packet.
Oh,
somewhere.
okay.
So I was gonna
Yeah.
say.
Oh, I think I saw it in general.
Do you solicit or do you get significant numbers of applications from university students?
No, we didn't last year. We got 8 applications and selected 5 last year, which, for having heard back from you all right before we did our call-out process, we thought was pretty good. But we have not worked too much with the university.
I guess, I don't know, I mean, I don't know if it's a good idea to seek that or not. I just keep thinking of ways to, make the students be more engaged with the larger community. But of course, I don't want them to totally displace. But,
I think that's always the balance we strike, trying to figure out. I think that if we had an art show that was solely student artists, that some of the local artists who've been working here for 30, 40 years might be displaced. But it's not something we're consciously avoiding. It just hasn't been one of the biggest pushes.
We did do call-outs, though, to Parkland and some art, University and Parkland art professors and teachers.
To let them know that.
The call-out information.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we're going to hear a presentation from Costas.
All right, let's pull this up. I can. All right, good afternoon. I'll try to make this quick and try to just talk a little bit about what you've maybe already read in the reports. So this group, Costas, was formed last year with the help of our initial Urbana Arts grant, which was renewed for 2013, so 2012 going into 2013. We formed a group playing traditional Colombian and Ecuadorian music here in Urbana. It was really exciting to see how the group formed, a mixture of University of Illinois students in ethnomusicology, a few alumni, and then local community members with a variety of backgrounds and nationalities, both from Colombia and Ecuador. So it was neat to have those community elements and also a little bit more focus, you would say, career-oriented or professional elements of music engagement. So while last year most of our work was put into, forming the ensemble, rehearsing, and finding performances for ourselves to get out and engage in the community in different ways. We were able to continue that, but what we wanted to see as a vision is integrate a little bit more with local businesses or pairing with other things happening in the community, local festivals, and other musical groups for larger collaborations. So I'm going to put this into, is there a slide view? I'll just do this. Okay. Oh, there it is. I think I found it. Okay, thank you. All right. And there's a few photo documentation of our group. This is at the Red Herring, and I'll talk about that in a second. Our first concert of this year was at the Red Herring, and it was part of their Vegan Cultural Dinners series that they just initiated again this last year. Every Wednesday night they were featuring a different nationality. So we paired up with the Ecuadorian night, and they made amazing food. And originally people were asking, well, is there, some music from that, culture that we can play while people are eating? And we're like, well, we have a group, let's go there. So we had live music with the smells and the tastes of Ecuador there, and we saw a good number of people come through throughout that evening. So that was a way we paired with local business, and I think a few times since then there have been other local groups going in and kind of being able to perform the music of that specific culture. Then in November, the CU Folk and Roots Festival, we paired with them and did our first performance at Bouvan's Wine Bar, which unfortunately I think is moving or has gone out of business as far as a space for musicians to play. I know they were very good with that. So that was also exciting to be a part of that festival. Our culminating concert, and notice these all happened before 2014 even started. So it was in December. We made a push to finish our performance aspect in the first half of the year due to a couple members actually, one member, Ian Middleton, a really important founding member, getting married in Colombia and moving there to start his field research. So it was exciting for him, but sad for us to see him go. And so we had a push to finish these performances in the first half of the year. So December 7th was our kind of culminating concert. We mentioned in our original grant that we wanted to expand in ways that would hopefully bring, that we would hopefully be able to pair up with touring Colombian or Ecuadorian groups that might be coming through this way. I know last year, in 2012, the Grammy Award-winning Gaiteros de San Jacinto were as close as Chicago. And we have connections with those types of groups. And we were hoping, again, that there would be a similar type of group that was going to be coming close that we could bring in. And after looking far and wide and contacting a lot of those people in Colombia and Ecuador, there just wasn't anybody coming during this time frame. So we had a decision to make, and we decided to redivert that into collaborations with local Latin music celebrities, Del Sur. And so by both collaborating with them and also bringing in a guest artist who was in town for a musicology convention in November. So at the Iron Post, it was a free event there, which is rare. Usually there's a cover, but there's live music every night of the week. We collaborated with Del Sur and also brought in a special guest instrumentalist to complete a full horn section for our group, and those were students from the University of Illinois. So that was packed over capacity throughout the evening. It was a wild success. And here's a few photos from. That's really dark. I'm sorry about that, but that's from Bouvons and the Folk and Roots Festival. This is all of us crammed up on stage at the Iron Post. I don't know how many people, maybe 14 people on stage. And then you can see it was a great place for dancing and people from all cultures. And I think that was a highlight too, live music that people can dance to. And it really brought a Latin American community into focus and celebrated that in this culminating concert. So that was very exciting, the performance aspect. Quickly, our workshops in education, we had one workshop at the Channing Murray Foundation again in the chapel. It was a success building off of the local dance community involved with West African dance and drumming community. We were able to also show them this African influenced music from Colombia. It'll be exciting. I know I'm working with a few people now who have received some grant funding to have a big African drum and dance extravaganza in the fall, and it'll be nice to be on the other side and helping them with other things and collaborating. So I'm excited about that, and I think it was with that same community we were able to find some crossover with this music. The other part of our education was at Wiley Elementary School. We went back with our connection with Cara Maurici there, and this year I was able to spend a whole day teach all of her classes, 6 classes of 2nd to 5th graders, including some students that were hearing impaired and were able to be there and feel the vibrations and be close and really enjoy that. So there was a lot of students reached throughout that day. As you can see, there we are in classroom as well. Not only highlighting what we did here, this was because of the grant funds we had here to do our performances, we were also invited to things outside of this community. We were able to perform at the Society of Ethnomusicology Convention in Indianapolis, Indiana. That was a very really, really special show, and Michael Birenbaum Quintero, who's faculty at Bowdoin College, was able to join us for that and a specialist in that music. And he was able to spend some time here working with our group leading up to that. And also the Center for Latin American and Caribbean Studies 50th Anniversary Gala, we were able to play for that at the Spurlock Museum, again, that collaboration with Del Sur. So we were able to do some things here with the funding, and then that allowed opportunity to show the diversity and and the arts that are happening in Urbana outside of there. So I just included a few sample flyers, and then the vegan cultural dinners that we paired up with. Just an overall general budget breakdown. Most of everything went to artistic fees, a little bit to accounting, and then space rental and advertisement through that. And with that, any questions?
Sounds like you really expanded it to cover a lot of different things. That's great. So we got around in the community. Anyone have any comments?
So what's your future?
My future.
or your future and the future of your companions?
Well, right now it's actually it's very interesting. Right now it's a little shaky. We're not sure. It's been exciting that we came together and had this culminating movement. But at the same time, like I said, Ian Middleton is in Colombia now working on field research, and two of our members, Beatriz and Alex, just got involved in a doctoral program up at University of Illinois Chicago. So we're seeing a few people move and leave the area, and we're kind of right now in a point of trying to reevaluate what's the next step. There's still interest here in a core group, and we're waiting to see and brainstorming the next step for us here.
Great. Well, thanks very much.
Yep.
Okay, we'll have the monthly progress report now.
So, monthly progress report. The King Park project by Preston Jackson. The sculpture dedication will take place on Saturday, April 19th at 4 o'clock, and there will be a reception at Cinema Gallery right following then. The Urbana Arts Grants Program had our reception on April 3rd, and that was at Pizza M, and there we celebrated 32 of our grantees and had about 50 people show, and it was a wonderful night, wonderful evening. Boneyard Creek Public Art Project, Jack Mackey is still working on the final pieces of that project, and the last phase of it will be completed, and it should be open by early August, possibly early September, depending on weather. Nothing new with fundraising right now, and nothing changing with marketing either. Downtown Arts Subcommittee, they are in the process of meeting and planning for possible Boneyard events this summer to coincide with the unveiling of the installation and the park as well. Annual planning, public arts budget is still under review, and we will be going through that as part of old business in this meeting. Art Now, in the April episode, Sarah Keenan-Jones was profiled, and she is an artist who uses ceramics and recycled items to create whimsical birds and decorative insects. And like my report in March, the artist of the corridor was Jason Patterson, and he'll be up until May 4th. And then we're working on an exhibition of children's drawings for May through July. Art at the Market, I did a call for workshop and performers, and that actually was very successful, and I'm in the process right now this week of deciding who to fill the spots with, and I got a really tremendous response, so that was great. Marketing, doing a lot of marketing with Facebook and Twitter, and right now we have 677 Facebook fans and 825 Twitter followers, so that's constantly growing slowly and steadily. And grants, I submitted the fiscal year 14-15 application to the Illinois Arts Council for general program funds, and that's not something where I could necessarily say we want this specific amount, but they have a range between $500 and $10,000 that they can possibly give. So we kind of wait and see on that one.
Oh, when will we hear from them?
I don't know, actually.
I just
I'll
thought maybe
find
they
out.
said.
Yeah.
I know sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually received a $1,000 scholarship from the local arts network to go to a national conference in Nashville for Americans for the Arts, and that's a conference on public art and creative placemaking. So I will be very happy to do that. Sorry about my sniffling. I have a cold.
Oh.
So just some upcoming events. Preston Jackson exhibition is going on currently right now at Cinema Gallery through April 26th, and the gallery is open 10 to 5, Wednesday through Saturday, and that's coinciding with, again, his dedication. This week, April 10th through the 13th, is the Boneyard Arts Festival, and again, April 19th, the King Park Sculpture Dedication at 4 o'clock. Our May meeting will be May 13th on Tuesday. And then May 3rd, the Market in the Square begins, and that'll run through early November.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. Okay, we're going to move now to old business, and it'll be our fiscal year 2014-15 program planning process. So, Lisa, do you want to?
So what I thought I'd do is kind of go through the memo, since that gives an outline of all the budget items, and then you have the planning document if we need to talk about something more specific. So, and just so you have something to refer, on the page 14 of the actual program plan document, there lists the total budget, both revenue and expenditures, and I put in expenditures for 13-14 so you could compare them with, which you would be deliberating for 14-15, just so you could see the balance. So you can refer to that in this process. So for the and actually, just to say a little note about that, it looks like we have like a $5,500 increase in the budget. So with the Urbana Arts Grants Program 2015 cycle, recommending that we have the same funding, $47,500 from last year to this year, which is 14-15. Boneyard Creek Public Art and Activities. The public art project will be finished, and that money comes from a different pot of money, but in terms of the activities that would like to be folded in, we're recommending that an additional $4,100 in funding go from the budget to these activities, and that'll promote the park itself and the installation, and again, just draw people's attention to the park. Murals on Glass, this project is kind of in its down funding year, so no funding going to that because that will be funded next year. Urbana Sculpture Project. We had put kind of the max in there of $10,000 because all 5 sculptures are in there between now, basically May and September of 2014, they're going to be up for renewal. So the most amount of each sculpture for renewal is $2,000, and we might not use all of it. Sometimes the artist will accept less money, but we wanted to put in the max just in case that was the case. And so the committee will be deciding, depending on the budget, what sculptures to either keep or if there's a call, what ones to change out. Fundraising, the legal staff right now of the city is reviewing the viability of keep it or change it, and we're reviewing options for fundraising in general, and such as other foundations and nonprofits and crowdsourcing. So we don't really suggest any expenditures right now since we don't know what's going on.
Lisa, does that keep the funding, though, that we had from last year in case we did choose to do some fundraising this year?
I think we reallocated it.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So recommending that we keep the same funding for Urbana's Market in the Square. That seems to have worked out well. So $400 per performance and per market workshop. And so that'd be 5 workshops and 5 performances. With the Warrior Arts and Architecture Planning, kind of recommending that this year be a planning year because I had a great meeting with Alona, and there's lots of things that could be done, but there's lots of funding that could go towards it too, and so we need to kind of plan it. So that's what I'm recommending for that. Arts in the Schools, again, recommending the same funding of $3,000 for that particular program and kind of get that running again. Artists of the Corridor, recommending no funding for that as we haven't really needed it in the past. Same for Art Now. And the King Project will be basically closed out next week when we do the reception. And marketing, I was recommending $3,900 for fiscal year 14-15, which is an increase of $1,400 from last year, more for the chance to do some hard print copy pieces to better promote the programs and the commission itself.
Did you have any particular projects in mind?
No, not yet. And for the intern, recommending that that line item stay the same at 3,600, so funding 2 different interns over 2 different time periods. So then if you go to page 14, then you can see how the budget breaks down.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions or comments? Yeah.
So is the issue with respect to fundraising the question of whether a public body can raise funds in this fashion? Is
Yes.
So
Public
okay.
body and staff and
Yeah.
And commissioners.
Mhm.
Okay. And okay.
So we're looking at the other avenues to be able to do that, whether it's forming a foundation to do that or crowdsourcing options for governmental organizations, things like that.
So I guess the library, which was my previous commission stop before I moved over here, has, of course, a foundation.
Mhm.
And I guess that's exactly why?
Probably.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to understand that at one time the city was telling us they'd prefer we didn't do that about a year ago. So it's been kind of going back and forth. We have a new lawyer now.
We have a new lawyer now.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, Ginny.
I was talking to you a little earlier about the sculpture project here. I know we just give the 2,000 for the startup and every year,
Mhm.
but then we purchased the Martin Luther King one
Mhm.
for 75,000.
Well, that money did not come from us.
That comes from the city, though. So the
Yeah.
city would have to. We would have to get money from the city to purchase a piece that we wanted permanent. Is that the way that works then?
No, I mean, we could do it if we had the funding, but obviously it would cost us a lot more. Usually if we're talking about 10,000 up to actually outright purchase.
Right. I mean,
So
I know we
we've
would do
leased
it,
in the
but would our
past.
commission go to the city then as a recommending a piece of sculpture? Is that how that worked? I kind of forgot I was on the committee there, and I forgot
Yeah.
how we did that with Martin Luther King. The 75,000 came from the city
Right,
and grants and stuff
Right.
with that.
well, there's nothing that precludes us from buying one, other than the fact that it's a lot of money.
Right. Well, I think it's
Yeah.
too much for one project like that. I wouldn't do
Right.
that for the commission. I don't
Right.
think that's the point of the commission.
Right.
But I was just wondering what the connection was between the commission and the purchasing a sculpture. And I assume there's a budget in the city for art, major purchases?
There isn't a recurring item in the budget for that. We're, really, I mean, of course, you'll always hear the council and the mayor tell you that the budget is tight. But it's tighter than it used to be because of the loss of the Carl
Right.
Hospital and clinic property tax. So we really, now we're really tight, which isn't to say that every good idea should be brought to the council, but I really believe that at this stage in our in what we're doing, that probably the creation of a foundation is that can raise money independently
Mhm.
of the city itself is probably really a good idea. I know it's not zero work to do that.
It's
but-
not hard either. I've already been
yeah.
to a couple exploratory meetings.
Yeah,
So.
and I think that, I definitely think that should be pursued.
And Ginny, that's actually a good question about that kind of split with the public art projects and also the buying of the sculpture, because with the actual public art projects like the King Project and like Boneyard, it comes from a separate pot of money, from what I understand, and then we'll have to, or I guess the commission will have to deal with the question of one of the pieces from the sculpture program, which is fanfare, because that is coming up for renewal this year, and the artist had said that, yes, I'll renew it for one more year, but after that, I either would like you to buy it or give it back, and that's about an $8,500 expense. So then that begs the question of where does that money come from? Does it come from the PAC budget, or can we get a line item in the city from it? So.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
I was just going to say, I think when it all happened, when we first started, that the sculpture projects, we did vote on them and we reviewed them all in conjunction with the city, but the city finally made the decision, unless I'm remembering incorrectly.
It was a committee that made the final one.
Yeah.
And there were people from the city and the community. There were about 16 of us that
Yeah.
made the final decision, who to go with and how much. But the city then did agree to pay for the.
Yeah, the buck has to stop with the council, but of course, we really defer a lot to thoughtful work from the individual commissions.
And the Park District looked at this
Yeah.
very strongly too. So it was a nice coalition of different organizations working together.
So I would suspect it would be a similar process when that time comes, although things do change. But
For
if
actually
there was,
buying permanent collection works for the
Mhm.
city?
I would think
Maybe.
so.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know, except for public art projects, has that been done before? I mean, does the city own anything?
Well, they own the
Besides-
sculpture right out here.
Oh, the Spirit Tree?
Yeah.
But that was more of a public art project that was commissioned, wasn't it? With an application
That's true, and
process and a
someone did
call.
fundraising for it, and,
Mhm.
yeah.
Because that's a little different than
Yeah.
actually starting a permanent collection where you're buying a piece that's kind of already existing.
But we now, with our new legal team, we're not sure that that process could be repeated, as I understand it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
could be all different.
Mm-hmm.
we'll keep you posted. Okay, any other comments, questions? In that case, I think I need to move that we approve the program plan as it's laid out here. Can I get someone to move?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have approved it. Okay, I think that's about it. I will just mention, since I interviewed Sarah Keenan-Jones for the Art Now that's going on now, her exhibit will be at Anita Purvey Center all through this month. And I think it's fun. You should go see it.
Can I just ask a point of
Yeah.
what happens next, since I'm not sure? So that now that this has been approved by you, it goes to council.
To council for approval.
Do I present that
Yes.
along with somebody or me or?
It's usually just been you, but if
Okay.
you'd like me to be there, I'd certainly do that.
Okay, let me think about it.
Sure.
And actually, if you don't mind, I do have some announcements.
Sure, go
just
right
to
ahead.
finish up. Actually, no, I don't. I already said them already, so don't want to repeat myself.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would only make one suggestion about the presentation before council. I would go out of my way to make a very, very clear initial presentation about the $10,000 for the sculpture renewal and why that's there, because it looks like a jump,
Mm-hmm.
and the council will jump on you for anything that looks like asking for an increase. So I would really urge you to try to inoculate yourself by not waiting for them to ask questions about that item, but by
Heading it off at the pass.
being preemptive about that, and also by emphasizing those areas where you're asking for less money than you did in the previous year. I just think that'll be, well, I think things will go better if you do all those things than if you don't.
Lisa, is this,
words of
though,
wisdom.
I mean, we've funded those sculptures before. Is this an increase in terms of what we spent before on the sculptures?
I doubt it. I'll check.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so, because
And
we
you
would
might
have had
make
to
that
fund
point.
5 sculptures to the tune of $2,000
Right.
apiece 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, or 4 years ago, maybe, when the program started, because
Yeah.
2 years ago it was a renewal, then it might not have been the
Right.
same amount,
Yeah.
so.
And that's the way the Park District does it, and PAL does it too. You know, they all pay $2,000 to
Right.
have the sculptures on display. So it's nothing.
It's kind of standard.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Someone want to move to adjourn?
May I make an announcement?
Oh,
before we
yes,
do?
certainly.
I'd like to invite you all to a premiere of a new musical next week at the Granite Center on the 29th and 30th of April at the Caldwell Playhouse. It's a new musical based on Arthur Schnitzler's play La Ronde with 10 singers and an instrumental trio. And it's a free public performance. There's also libretto sessions at 6 p.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday evening, and a 1:30 colloquium, which is also free, which is a collaboration between the Department of Germanic Languages, and they're going to explore all this, the history behind Schnitzler and Freud and the changing mores that were going on at that time in Vienna that are pertinent to the storyline. So I invite you all to join us at the Caldwell Playhouse.
Wow.
Thank you.
Let's see, what day
And
of the week?
it's not funded by the commission. Only my sweat equity.
What days of the week are those?
Tuesday and Wednesday night are the performances.
So
And
it's
we will
next
have
week?
the 20, it's not next week, it's the week after, isn't it?
Week after.
Yeah. I'm already feeling stressed. It feels like next week. The composer will be coming from New Jersey and will be with us also for the libretto sessions
Oh, wow.
with the stage director and some of the musicians. So, free to the public.
Sounds great.
Okay. Well, I move that we adjourn. Anyone second?
Second.
Okay. We're done.